Testing. Testing. Test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test.
Okay.
Test, test, test.
I think we're on. I think we're rolling. How do we do this?
Well, first you start,
Mm-hmm.
and then I continue,
Yep.
and then there's some banter back and forth for a bit.
Witty banter.
Very witty.
Mm-hmm.
Almost excessively witty.
Extremely.
Almost.
Yeah, side-splitting guffaws. Yeah.
And then we watch the film,
Mm-hmm.
and then we talk about the film.
Yep.
And then we talk about anything else that might be happening, which I'm not sure there is this week. But oh well. And then you pick the next film.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then we very awkwardly sign off
Mm-hmm.
and play the credits music.
And then remember all the things that we were going to say during the actual podcast.
Yes.
Yep.
Fortunately, at that point, we're still recording. So.
Yep. Okay. All right. I think we've got levels. Good.
Great.
Okay. Let's roll it then.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is my fellow film watcher. I forgot to breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Compadre and son. Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What do you know?
I know that the Paralympics started last night.
Hang on,
as we're recording this.
I started last
night.
week with what do you know? So I can't do that. What's happening?
The Paralympics. My answer has not changed.
What have you been up to?
I have watched a little bit of the Paralympics.
Oh, the Paralympics are on.
Yes, the Paralympics are on.
Uh-huh.
And largely trying to get my sleep schedule not correct, strictly speaking, but in a place where I can do a thing later, at which point, after that one thing that happens on one day, my sleep schedule will be wrong again, and I'll have to do more work.
Right. Is it a momentous event?
In a manner of speaking,
Right.
if it's something that you care about, which you won't.
So Blazeball's back then.
No, not yet. Still don't know when.
Good. Are you prepared to reveal what this momentous thing is, or
just gonna watch a German game show with some internet friends for however many hours it runs for.
okay?
Live, because
So you're watching it live.
Mm-hmm.
Are you been practicing up on your German?
No. It's largely translating the titles of the games and then working it out as we go along.
Oh, okay. Good.
Usually, they're reasonably intelligible enough.
So does this explain the loud guffaws of laughter last night?
No, entirely unrelated.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
As for me, I'm fully vaccinated.
Congratulations.
For what that is worth, now that there's numerous variations out there that raising question marks as to the effectiveness of. So life goes on.
But as the theme for the Olympic and Paralympic ceremonies was this year, moving forward.
We are.
Yep,
We are moving forward.
sure are.
Speaking of moving forward, yes, I have very little to talk about concerning my week other than me getting the second AstraZeneca jab. For those people who are unfamiliar with that particular vaccination, there's a 12-week waiting period between the first vaccination and the second. It differs from the Pfizer, which I think is like 2 weeks.
Four, I think.
Okay.
And available to 16 and ups from the 30th.
Yes.
So I might have to do something about that.
You might.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. How excitement. So, taking on that theme of the Olympics, let's move forward.
Yes.
Into the film that you selected for this week.
I did.
A film that was inspired by a film that was inspired by a film.
As happens.
Yes. What are we watching today?
We are watching Missing Link.
An animated, stop-motion animated film made by the same company that made the film we watched last week.
Mm-hmm.
What's it all about?
Hugh Jackman is Sir Lionel Frost, a brave and dashing adventurer who considers himself to be the world's foremost investigator of myths and monsters. The trouble is, no one else seems to agree. Zach Galifianakis is Mr. Link. As species go, he's as endangered as they get. He's possibly the last of his kind, he's lonely, and he believes that Sir Lionel is the one man alive who can help him. Along with the independent and resourceful Adelina Fortnite, played by Zoe Saldana, who possesses the only known map to the group's secret destination, the unlikely trio embarks on a riotous rollercoaster ride of a journey to seek out Link's distant relatives in the fabled valley of Shangri-La.
Okay. Now, apparently I've seen this, but that
supposedly
that description does not ring any bells whatsoever.
I'm pretty sure you have seen it.
Oh, yes.
It would have been a Friday night. But
Kubo certainly rings heaps and heaps of bells, in more ways than one. If you're familiar with the film, you'll get the in-joke there. But this just doesn't. I might have a big aha moment, or after we've watched it, I may well say, no, don't remember watching this at all.
Right.
So we shall see, and to enable us to do that, we shall see the film. That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
The disc is in the machine already. It was making loud whirry noises, so we turned it off whilst we recorded this beginning bit. But it's all ready to go. We're going to watch it, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B. The missing side.
Mongrel. So, what did you think?
It's nice to have some light-hearted action-adventure fun.
It was
isn't
fun.
It?
It was fun, yes. It is certainly a more slight movie than Kubo, I think. I don't want to dwell too much on comparing the two, other than the fact that the animation technique is the same and it's done by the same studio. But Kubo certainly has a far longer lasting impression on me. In saying that, it was only in the last 15 minutes of this movie that I was able to convince myself that yes, I have definitely seen this. So that is not necessarily a great indicator of whether this film is a good film or not, because my mind is pretty bad at remembering things. But yes, the ice bridge was the bit where, and a bit before that. Yes. But all leading up to that, I'm going, I don't know whether I've seen this. So who knows what mood my mind may have been in or what, but
Yeah.
I still think, as far as lasting impressions are concerned, that was just a straight-out fun film.
Yes. The story's not as deep here.
In fact, in places, it's very, very thin. It is.
Yep.
It is still a visual feast.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely gorgeous looking, and yet again, in the closing credits, they gave us a look behind the curtain as to, yes, this was all done physically.
Physically and very large.
And very large, yeah. And it is a shame that I get the feeling they feel obliged to do that in a manner that says, no, it wasn't CGI, we are better than that. or I don't know. There were some absolute classic lines, and I'm sure you've taken notes.
I made one note of the funniest line that absolutely stuck with me. It comes in the latter half.
Mm-hmm.
And I may be giving away a joke here, but I hope you go watch the film anyway.
Yeah.
You should.
Yep.
The people we don't want here are leaving. Force them to stay.
And the name that they give Shangri-La is...
The leader of this group of Yetis. They do find the Yetis. Spoiler alert. They find the Yetis. What the Yetis call Shangri-La is a snarling noise, which means, keep out, we hate you.
Yes.
It's just a very funny film.
It really is.
It doesn't matter that the story is thin in places, because where it's thin, it's being funny, and that's good.
Yeah, and also where it's thin, it is still... I was totally engrossed for the entire length of the movie. Again, it's a really tight film, and there is always something to look at if there isn't a great deal of story happening. It's still visual storytelling that's going on. Even though you are shown at the end how they did a certain section, that certain section, when watching it during the film, had depth. Far more depth than that little reveal actually shows you that it had. So the trickery that the visual trickery that they're doing physically just goes to show how absolutely brilliant they are at pulling that off.
The bad news out of all of this is that
it cost a fortune.
It cost a fortune, and it flopped. Very badly.
It really, really did. What was it? About 100 million it cost to make.
Yeah, and it made, and that's excluding marketing and so on.
Yep.
And it made 20.
How much was that again?
20 million.
20 million. Yes, it flopped terribly.
There's a CBR article that goes into many questions of how it could have happened, target audience, who is the film for?
Yeah.
We've got what feels like a family film. Now that I've seen it, what feels like a family film, but it's unclear whether it hews more adults or more towards kids.
It very much Rango-like in that respect. Its target audience is quite ambiguous.
Point number 2.
Sorry, before you go to point number 2, I should point out that the Deranged Cat is in the house and in the studio.
Point number 2. Leica might be too good at stop motion. To the point where they are confusingly good at stop motion.
Yes. Yep. I confess that within the first 30 minutes or so, somewhere along the line, I hopped onto my phone and double-checked, is this stop motion?
It is. It is stop motion.
Because some of the fluidity of motion looked so real that I began to question myself. So Yeah.
The trouble there is that very good stop motion can still look like cheap CG.
Yep. Yep.
Point number 3 that was brought up. Hugh Jackman's character, Sir Lionel Frost, just not a particularly likeable or interesting person.
No. And that contributes to the thinness of plot and the maintaining of interest due to the likability of characters. It was basically pulled along by Link, because he was a lovable innocent, who you wanted to get to where he wanted to get to,
and you're disappointed right along with him when it turns out not to be all it's cracked up to be.
No, but yes, Hugh Jackman did a wonderful job with the performance. However, the character that he was playing, he wasn't endearing at all.
Point number 4. This is the second of 3 similar films in the same year. Warner Animation Group did Smallfoot earlier in the year, and then DreamWorks did Abominable later in the year.
Yeah.
And it turns out that competing over the same subject doesn't do good things for any of the films.
No. And it seems to happen a lot in Hollywood, where projects have their similarities. The good old Ants versus Bugs Life, and Armageddon versus Deep Impact. And
the good news is that the founder of the studio, Travis Knight, has a lot of money. And at least for a while, he can keep putting money into this. And he directed Bumblebee.
Is that right?
He did.
Well, that's an interesting connection. I'm glad you discovered that connection. He directed it and directed it well.
Yes.
I think.
And has been attached to a $6 billion Man film.
Inflation has caught up with the $6 million Man, has it? Right, okay.
Apparently. And Annapurna, who distributed this film, not the other ones, but this film, also founded by someone with a lot of money and can afford to spend money, but is getting some light nudges from her father, who is a little concerned that maybe just a little closer to centre.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes to show that even in the high budget films, there are people who are making films for the love of it. That very much tends to be the feel of the indie films and the short film scene, is a low expectation of recouping costs necessarily, but pitching in there and making what they want to make. It's interesting that the vibe that this is giving is that that happens in the very rich world as well. I guess we're seeing it in the great second stage space race as well. But
it was countries and now it's commercial.
That's right. Yeah.
I wonder which one's more likely to kill us.
Oh, good grief, yes. I don't have a lot more to say. Well, more to the point, I don't really have anything else to say other than, that was a good fun romp, and well worth a viewing. But as to how memorable it will be in 3-4 weeks' time, I don't know. I think it's still justified. There are certainly films that I have seen that I can remember enough to know that it's not worth remembering. But this is...
And yet.
Yes. So, do you have anything else you wish to say about...
No.
No?
I think I'm good.
All right, then. Do we have anything for the next segment?
I am not aware of anything for the next segment.
No. So we might skip the next segment. I would like to give a brief shout-out, however, to one of our dear listeners, Lee Sargent, who was prompted by... I'm guessing he may have rewatched possibly Rango, or was just prompted to do a... He's an artist and does some wonderful work, and he was prompted to do an image of Rango. And if I can work out a way of grabbing a link, I shall put a link to his Rango illustration as well as his webpage. Yeah. All right, then. We shall move on, then.
Yes.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It's your turn.
It is. And I was thinking, now, I did have a film that I was going to select way back when I suddenly decided, no, let's watch Rango. I think was the way that it worked.
Yes, I think so.
That I was
yes.
going to watch Rango, or was it I was going to watch something else?
You were going to watch something else, and then Rango came up, and...
Oh, no, it was watch Rango and then decided, no, let's watch Kubo, maybe.
No.
No?
No.
Anyway.
We watched Rango first.
Did we? Okay, it was Rango that... Okay. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the film that was on my mind was yet another animated film. And I think I'm possibly a little animated out at the moment.
Right.
So, I'm going to...
So scratch that.
So I'm
Forget
going to
you heard that.
That's right. So I'm going to put my trust in the list that I've created of films that I'd like to revisit that are on the shelf, and bring up the My Movies database that has those films that I would like to revisit. I'm going to give my phone a shake and get it to randomly select one.
And it's going to randomly select an animation.
It is, isn't it? Okay. All right.
Your lack of dismay seems to suggest that it did not select.
It did not select an animated film. All right. Oh, and guess what? There is no plot synopsis.
Oh dear.
It's another one of those.
No back cover either?
Should be making a list, shouldn't I? I do have the link to the IMDb movie description, and it's fairly short. So, let's see if you can pick this. I don't think you've seen it. Thanks, Deranged Cat. See if I can do a stereo spread of that romp through the... For the most part, this podcast is mono, apart from the music bits. But I might, might have fun with that. All right, are you ready to try and work this out?
Okay.
Ring the buzzer as soon as you think you know what it is. Okay. Oh, and I've always wanted to do this. In a world difficult to comprehend, Nathan struggles to connect with those around him, most of all his loving mother, but finds comfort in numbers. When Nathan is taken under the wing of unconventional and anarchic teacher Mr. Humphreys, the pair forge an unusual friendship, and Nathan's talents win him a place on the UK team at the International Mathematics Olympiad. From suburban England to bustling Taipei and back again, Nathan builds complex relationships as he is confronted by the irrational nature of love.
Good Will Hunting?
No.
No?
No.
Which is another one I haven't seen,
No.
so...
It's got Asa Butterfield in it.
Okay. That doesn't narrow it down a lot. We have a few Asa Butterfield.
Okay. In some countries it was known as A Brilliant Young Mind, but in Australia and in other places in the world, I think it was only in America that it was called A Brilliant Young Mind. I could be wrong on that. that respect. But I certainly knew it as X plus Y.
No, I have not heard of this
You
film.
have not
I
heard
don't
of this
think
film.
so.
Okay.
No.
All right. That's what we're watching next week. It is the 2014 X plus Y. Sort of a comedy drama. A Deranged Cat. I know. We're at that point again, aren't we?
Yep.
Where
There's
nothing
nowhere
else
left to go.
Nowhere left to go except to say we hope that you can join us next week when we watch X plus Y. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
We'll never work it out, will we?
We won't. No.
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 It's okay. It's okay if we never work it out, because it's the end of the film, and if people don't like it, they've heard the whole podcast already, so... yeah.
Yeah. The end of the film. It's the end of the film. It's the end of the podcast.
Yep.
I'm going to hit stop.
Go ahead. Do it.
Oh, let's get more of that cat. Go on, jump around a bit more.
Not so much jumping as the very best of room tone.
He's hunting for mice.
Yeah, listen to that room tone. I think you can just hit stop.
Oh, come on.
No, you've jinxed it. It's
Yep.
not going to happen.
Okay. As soon as I hit stop, he will start again. So hitting stop now. Hang on, does he have a mouse in his mouth?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. He might. No, he's dropped it. I'm bored with this. Oh, hang on. Where is it? Where's it gone? You get it? No. Okay. Oh, hang on. Here he goes. Okay. Cat, can you turn off the subwoofer? Yes, master.
You said woof, and now I am no longer interested.
Woof. Subwoofer.